We're back.
Why?
Rolling again. Hey. It's been a little bit, you know?
A little bit. Said 5 months. That's crazy.
Right? How's it going?
It's going. That's for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Grift. It's the return of the Grift. We got a lot going on in this world.
Dude, I don't even know what's going on in this world.
Yeah.
Too much.
Too much, yeah.
Yeah.
No discernible new current things other than the I think the Roe v. Wade happened since then, maybe. But
oh God. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't been here since I checked June 5th.
Yeah, so it was probably right before that.
Right before that. And I missed that because on that last Big Gretch segment we had, I mean, she was pushing hard for those that Roe v. Wade way back in March. I think we may have talked about it, but
oh, they had talked about it with the leak.
Yeah, with the leak,
which they never found the leaker, and I doubt they ever will. Right, but you know,
I didn't hear that. This doesn't surprise me though.
No,
not at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot. I mean, we're 2 days before the election, so are we on?
Yeah,
we're in here we are.
Infinity mode.
Woo! Two mirrors looking at each other here.
Yeah, this is a good time to grift off this election 2 days before, right?
Yeah, I don't have a ton related to that.
Good, thank God.
Which we can save if we're going to go live again in a couple days, and we'll just follow along.
Yeah,
and kind of wing it. But a topic that I've been curious about recently. I mean, we all know the Kanye stuff that's been going on, but recently it's shifted over to Kyrie. Funny how that works.
Yeah,
phonetically kind of similar, but so what's your understanding of what's been going on with the controversy surrounding Kyrie Irving?
Kyrie Irving, amazing dribbles, and then it became like a flatter thing for a second, and everybody had to seem like he got the call, had to rein it back or just stop talking about that, which that fell off during COVID, the whole flat earth momentum that they had going on for a good 5 or 6 years. And then, obviously there's the big controversy with his not taking the jab and kind of suffering through that whole era. And that's about it. Then I've never heard about anything until I saw somebody somebody posted on Facebook how LeBron James is not weak, for not backing up Kyrie because LeBron's Nike deal is just exactly the same as Kanye's Adidas deal. So if he loses that, he loses his billionaire status. That's about all I know.
So Kyrie, you're kind of around the edges of it. Kyrie Irving just shared a link to a documentary called Hebrews to Negroes. And I've not seen this documentary. I actually did find a link to it on BitChute, and I was going to try to pull some clips from it, but it's 3.5 hours, so it's a lot to work through, and I didn't really have the time to do that. I'd like to maybe watch it now, because it's created a crazy shitstorm over the fact that the man just shared a link. He didn't even comment on it. He didn't say anything about it. He just shared a link to it. And
this is a piggyback, isn't it? Just off of Kanye's "I'm a Jew."
Yeah,
Jews and the whole Black Israelites,
right?
Classic Lost Tribe stuff, maybe.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the guy who made it is a Black Israelite. Is that what they're called?
That's how I understand them. I mean, my own experience with them is in New York City, and they're brutal, man. if you're a white dude, you're not going to feel good walking by them.
I'm sure. So he shares a link, starts a whole firestorm, and then he ends up apologizing on Thursday, this past Thursday. And what do you know? His teammates were kind of had his back. Immediately, they don't have his back, and then he gets suspended after he apologizes. It's funny how that works.
Sharing a link, he got suspended from his
Yeah, he got suspended for 5 games. And let me see here. So he now has to do. Well, let me just start by playing this.
Let's see it.
This is Jason Whitlock. He has some outside the mainstream takes when it comes to sports, and I appreciate.
He's like the safe black man conservative for boomer conservatives,
right?
Yeah.
But he's got some interesting takes sometimes, and I wanted to start with his response. I'm not sure I fully agree with his take necessarily, but it could be partially the reason that he's getting the firestorm.
Ooh, I got no. Yo, we got bad sound. What's going on?
What's up?
We got no sound on that.
Oh, did I not? Did I not share my sound? Uh-oh.
You should share sound. Your sound's okay.
Oops, that's not right. Sorry, everybody. We are.
Yeah, rusty. Rusty over here.
Share system audio. There we go. We go. I forgot to hit that button. See, this is it's a learning process. All right, here we are, back at it. Just back this up just a sec.
Back that clip up.
Why? I tried to watch the documentary. It's a bad documentary. It's boring. It's impossible to follow. It's 3 hours and 30 minutes. I made it through the first 75 minutes only because I'm a glutton for punishment. The documentarian, Ronald Dalton, is a Black Hebrew Israelite, a group of mostly Black men who believe they are the true Jewish people. I don't buy their argument. I've had it explained to me 2 or 3 times over the past 10 years. I don't get it. Mostly I don't care. It's America. People are free to believe whatever they want. Bill Maher thinks I'm delusional because of my Christian faith. So what? I still like him. I'll still pray that he be saved and come into enlightenment. There's a long, never-ending history of Christians being persecuted across the globe. Bill Maher's documentary doesn't make me feel vulnerable. It makes me want to explain and testify. That's what I did in 2010 in my Kansas City Star column. The only thing interesting about Ronald Dalton's documentary is the insane overreaction to it. The overreaction makes me want to rewatch it and try to discern why a Kyrie tweet has this kind of importance. We want to suspend Kyrie over a tweet that doesn't contain one word he wrote? Really? This makes no sense. It cannot be the documentary. The doc is way too easy to ignore for this kind of outrage. My tinfoil hat tells me Kyrie is loathed by the globalists and their corporate media puppets because the system is doing everything in its power to prevent Irving from inspiring other athletes to think for themselves. The system prefers LeBron James and Colin Kaepernick, athletes who do exactly what their handlers tell them to do. Kyrie refused to take the jab. That's his real offense. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell bullied basketball and football players into taking the experimental medical trials that were advertised as vaccines. Pro athletes have every right to be outraged. The experimental medical trials were at best useless and at worst harmful. Irving refused to be bullied. Judging by his retweet of Alex Jones, Irving likely heeded Jones's warnings about the so-called vaccines. Alex Jones is a threat to the globalist propaganda machine. Kyrie is seeking information from outside the approved sources. He's being punished for that. I like Charles Barkley. I respect Charles. I consider him a friend and a well-intentioned American. However, I'm highly suspicious of any broadcaster on any television network who earns more than $3 or $4 million a year whose first name isn't Tucker. Anyone making more than $10 million a year, not named Tucker, has been led into the cult. Everybody else in corporate media is basically on the waiting list to join the cult. They all took the jab. And it's their job to punish any high-profile person who didn't take the jab. If Kyrie goes unpunished, the narrative gatekeepers worry that Kevin Durant or Patrick Mahomes or some other black athlete might start questioning the wisdom of his handlers. I've yet to see one gatekeeper argue that Amazon should be held responsible for selling Hebrews to Negroes. Amazon, not Kyrie, owns the platform profiting from the documentary.
Okay. So his main thesis is that he's just being, this still goes back to the jabby jab
Yeah,
of punishment.
and I think there's some truth to that, but I do think it's a much bigger, which he kind of hints at that, but I think it's generally people thinking for themselves, walking out of the box that they're placed into, and he's been a very influential person in terms of being an individual when it comes to sports.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's, especially when it comes to this topic, you cannot step out of line. And I don't really understand. Maybe there's a certain degree of arrogance on the part of the NBA and the establishment as a whole to think that pointing this out is not going to lead to more people questioning. First of all, maybe I should watch this movie. I'm sure that guy's loving it.
Wants to rewatch it. You know?
Yeah.
So the thesis is that there's something hidden in the documentary. It wouldn't, I don't know, this stinks of like some sort of weird advertising for the documentary.
I mean, it's still available on Amazon. That's the funny. They haven't even, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before they pull it, but
it's Amazon Prime?
Yeah. So it's been up there forever. So he gives, I think it's, if he had done this outside of the Kanye controversy, yay, whatever, it probably wouldn't be on this level. But because there's now this whole, the new thing is anti-Semitism or whatever, that he can't say anything that even it has a hint of that, which it's interesting to me because it's not, to my knowledge, I don't know this. I guess you could say it's anti-Semitic towards people who are saying that they are the Jews, and for him to say that, I don't know the exact thing about the documentary, so that's where I'd like to fill in that details in the future. But it's the outrage is so disproportionate to just sharing a link, which is what he's talking about. It's just, that's crazy.
I totally agree. Yeah, just a link to a source material, primary source material. I mean, you brought in Ronald Dalton Jr. and go to news. It's anti-Semitic film, anti-Semitic book. What's in the movie that Kyrie Irving promoted on Twitter? Steve Kerr responds to Kyrie Irving's anti-Semitic ramblings. Anti-Semitic movie. I mean, it's all anti-Semitic.
Right.
So, I mean, if you listen to Black Israelites, they're very anti-Semitic. I would agree with that. But I also agree there's something deeper. I mean, he referenced Alex Jones. He's taking a playbook page from the playbook of Alex Jones or some advice.
Mm-hmm.
Just one step away. Alex Jones always one step away from God, what's his name? Old lizard boy over there who just got banned.
Oh, David Icke. Yeah, he
David
can't.
Icke, yeah.
Which I always thought that was funny that they're saying that guy is anti-Semitic for talking about lizard people, because I don't think he specifically says, he might talk about Zionism, but for them to react to lizard people as being anti-Semitic is like, what are you guys reading into? Why are you so offended by some far out there theory about, lizard people? Like, why are you offended by that?
I think it's funny. We were thinking this guy here, Whitlock's a lizard. I saw him licking his lips. little quick wetting of the scales. I don't know.
They're trying to get us to eat bugs, so they're having us want to be lizards. I don't know.
Right.
What's up with that shit? But so
everybody's an iguana now.
Got to get that lizard brain growing again, I guess. I don't know.
And don't move too much.
So the 6 things now he's suspended, and here are the 6 things that he needs to do in order to return to the team.
Who's this?
Oh, it's just something I found on Twitter or whatever I was searching.
Okay.
So he has to apologize, condemn the movie, which I think he already did basically apologize. He's already committed a $500,000 donation to anti-hate causes, which I think might be an ADL related thing. It's crazy how much power the ADL has, which is the Anti-Defamation League. They basically police anything resembling speech related to both Jewish people and Israel. I think it's mostly to squash any criticism of Israel, personally.
Yeah, this is shams that we're.
Yeah, that's funny. It is.
He's a 28-year-old sports reporter for the Athletic and Stadium publication, whatever that is.
So he's got to give a $500,000 donation. Like, is that really a donation? How is it a donation if he's required to give it? I don't even know what you call
like
that.
Tax.
Then he's got to do sensitivity training, anti-Semitic training, which, man, that might be something.
There's a market for that.
Yeah, there will be now. People are lining up for that. He's got to meet with the ADL and Jewish leaders, and then meet with Joe Tsai, who is, I think, the owner of the Nets, to demonstrate. It's just like, man.
Okay, so ADL and Jewish leaders are like one in
right
package deal. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, approved Jewish leaders, Netanyahu's big boy. I don't know.
Okay.
But just
wow.
He is just being. I don't think I've seen an athlete be put through the ringer for this. For like, there's been people who. I mean, I guess no. There's been people who have like gotten in trouble for assault, like actual crimes, and I don't think the outrage has been this bad.
Right.
There have been people who have been kicked out of stuff, but like.
Like Roseanne Barr,
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Kanye is the most recent one, and it's been pretty huge, but I feel like that's more just a punishment. I'm not shutting up.
Yeah, but I mean, like he didn't even say anything. He just shared it. So that now people are like, well, usually when you share something, that's approval and whatever, but he didn't even say anything about it.
Right. And I don't buy that argument anyway. Like, share something means you agree with it. What's one thing shareable out there that 100% you know?
Yeah, right.
This is who I am. link.
Yeah, so I saw a right before we got on, I was just on Twitter, and I saw this clip regarding this whole thing. And I don't know if you know in NFL and CBS, James Brown, he's been on air forever.
Wow, yeah.
But he gave this commentary today before, which again, this is not even the NBA. This is the NFL.
Yeah, okay. But let's recognize this CBS symbol right on his shoulder, watching over him.
Ooh,
and then what's his pin? What's his little lapel pin there?
That's a great question. Kind of looks phallic to me, but
It does.
It's might be that it's a Super Bowl. I don't know
either, but whatever.
And also, he is a black man, so it's like you got to get the black guy on NFL Today to talk about a sport that he doesn't even commentate on.
Right.
But just listen to this. It's just out of. It's just crazy.
Folks, and shifting gears to a more unfortunate headline from this week. All of my colleagues up here at the desk, we've all played for and coached sports and other good teams, and we have all experienced the truths and the beautiful outcomes that apply not just in sports, but they are applicable in the game of life. We all know the championships are overwhelmingly won by those who display teamwork and togetherness. But there is a serious threat to that principle today with the frightening rise in anti-Semitism, in particular, hate in general. And we're seeing that contagion, not just in sports, but music, politics, and across society. Folks, hate is a disease. It is a virus that spreads and kills. Now, to cast doubt on or state definitively that the Holocaust did not happen.
Which I want to point out, he did not say, I don't think that documentary has anything to do with the Holocaust.
It shouldn't.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it had nothing to do with that. But just an aside.
Throw it in there.
Yeah.
That's as hurtful and wrong as saying the lynching of black people didn't happen or that being enslaved was a choice. To perpetuate hurtful and false narratives, to refuse to disavow bigoted messages, and to fail to take responsibility when one's actions and words inflict harm is simply unacceptable. Words do matter, especially coming from highly visible people. Their words influence people's attitudes and behaviors. And I pray fervently that those
like he does every day.
Work, togetherness, and love will speak more loudly and persuasively to prevail against this viciousness. No matter how idealistic this may sound, it is the truth, because that is how we defeat hate.
Wow.
And he never brings up Kyrie Irving.
Or any examples of what he's preaching here. I know it's he didn't write it, but okay.
Yeah, and I just want to point out right at the end, just look at his eyes. He kind of, did you notice that?
Yeah, there's a little look to the right.
It is the truth, because that is how we defeat hate.
Yeah, very subtle.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's looking at. Time clock.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah.
Why is the black guy giving a speech? Okay. Why do this? Like, you feel it's just such a controversy that the media has created, and now they're perpetuating it further in a league that's not the same league. I mean, I'm curious to see where this goes. If it's meant to be a distraction, I don't know. I think it's really just pretty much using Kyrie as I wouldn't say a martyr, but like a guy that's like, if you try to do anything, say anything outside of what we tell you, this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of layered messages in here. That being one, I believe. Like, shut up. Especially influential people. I mean, they had them in COVID. Everybody's like, before the vaccine, everybody was either not speaking or just towing the line.
Yep.
There's something. I mean, this anti-Semitism has been. I feel like it's like the media is the figurative Iron Dome. I mean, they have to, you know, be on the defensive, I suppose. They meaning, I guess, people kind of afraid of being, the victims of an anti-Semitic outrage, I suppose. I mean,
But it's weird because I feel like it's making it be this big a deal. I don't know if there's two things that I'm thinking about this. Either they're on a power trip and they want to make an example of Kyrie, and the media hysteria that swirls around it just kind of builds, and it gets to this point where they feel like they have to do this, or it's almost like they're intending for it to be this crazy thing that I think a lot of people are questioning, like Jason Whitlock and others. Is this really appropriate? And what is going on here? And then it starts to go in the opposite direction, where if their intent was to squash this, it's almost like a Streisand effect, which I have a little clip just for the audience. I know you probably
and
know
for me
Streisand.
too. No, I need to. I've heard of this, but
so this is it's a very famous thing that happened, and let's watch this video about it.
Dano. The phenomena takes place when an attempt to hide, suppress, or censor certain information leads to a ripple effect of unintended, extensive publicity of the information. It is claimed that Barbara's attempt at suppressing the photographs of her Malibu residence resulted in the photographs going viral on the internet. When she tried taking a legal action against the unlawful breach of privacy, her fans got upset. Within a month, almost 500,000 people had access to the pictures. Before Barbara filed a lawsuit, not many people had seen the photograph. But once the news of the legal action broke, millions of people sought it out online. The picture proliferated in online channels and forums. Streisand and her lawyers inadvertently brought attention to the very thing they wanted to suppress. Attempts to censor information are often made through ceasing and desisting of letters, but instead of being suppressed, the information receives exorbitant publicity, as well as media coverage in the form of videos and spoof songs, which can be mirrored on the internet or distributed on file-sharing platforms. The replication becomes impossible to regulate, as any time a web server gains a new file and is constantly queried by the search engines, the cache of the web is updated with the location of the new file. That is impossible to erase. The Streisand effect is a vivid example of psychological resistance, wherein once people are aware that some information is being kept from them, they are significantly more determined to access and share that information. This evidently implies that when you try so hard to hide something, it just makes it more visible, especially if you're a superstar. Efforts to suppress a juicy piece of online information can backfire and end up making things worse for the would-be censor, The Economist.
Yeah. Okay, so I understand that phenomenon just in its abstract, like, I mean, you would have to when you're thinking of like law things, like if you want to sue for something, you open up yourself to discovery, and is that something you want to do? It's kind of like a Streisand effect, bringing attention to things that otherwise, but they're talking about this in fame, in a fame context. And
Yeah.
I will say too, if anybody's out there looking for workplace tactics to find out who, like, say you go to a new job and you want to know who you can trust and who you can't, just make up something juicy about yourself and tell it to people and say, you're the only person I've told this to. Please don't tell anyone. And if it gets around, then you know who told.
That is a little counterintelligence or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that, in that way, if we're going on that being a possibility in terms of whoever's trying to squash this, maybe they're not necessarily trying to squash it. They're trying to create more of a strategy of tension where they create the Streisand effect around what Kyrie or Kanye or whoever is saying it, so that more people, maybe in the Black community or elsewhere, are drawn to this information. So then it kind of creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where more people are drawn to ideas that may be seen as anti-Semitic. So then they can say, hey, look, all this stuff is spreading because of these. They're almost creating it in effect by saying, almost similar to when the drug war started during the Reagan era. And they're saying, don't just say no to drugs. Drugs are terrible. They're crack is everywhere. Like, well, everyone's addicted to crack. And it's like, wait, what's crack? Wait, why is everyone so addicted to it? Maybe I should try it. So I don't know if if there's some something deeper at play where they're trying to create almost a dialectic for them to bounce off of. But I don't know.
Yeah, my question would be then, who's using the media in this way to achieve this? Is it the documentarian? Is it just the NBA? I mean, is the NBA like, hey guys, we're playing a season right now, just so everybody knows, because there has been so much. I mean, I don't know. Is that true? Has the NBA started up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
obviously we got suspended for 5 games, so
yeah,
okay. Yeah. Or some sort of even more sinister idea. I mean, are they trying to create a narrative? This whole pronoun game. They, they, them. Is they, them, like, is ghost self trying to create the narrative of anti-Semitic activity in preparation for a new Trump term, or
and it's
trying to ramp that up for the next 2 years?
It's coincidentally right before the midterms too.
Sure.
It's also, there's always the false flag angle or the patsy where they get somebody to go out and do something and it's just going to spiral. I don't know. I think
it could just be a temp check.
To
see it who's out there.
Just a little trial balloon, you're saying?
Yeah, like we've kind of fucked the world up in the past 3 years. I mean, not that hasn't been going that way, but the big psyop just happened. Right. Like, where are people, in their responses? And Elon just took over Twitter again. He just took it over. So again, there's voices to be heard that haven't been able to be heard lately. So
yeah, maybe it's related to Zelensky. He's Jewish. Maybe they're going to try to roll it into something to where there's going to be a backlash from the Republicans taking office, and they're not going to support Ukraine because of anti-Semitism. I don't know.
Right.
There's
that's ironic.
I know. It would be on brand though, wouldn't it?
Sure.
Yeah, don't talk about the Azov, but
yeah, one of many battalions.
Right. Oh, it's only as somebody on Facebook says, it's only a couple thousand Nazis. Yeah, sure. Okay.
The tanks, billions of dollars. Allegedly, I don't know.
But yeah, it's definitely something to watch going forward, and I think it's I don't know, it's quite the spectacle to witness, as are most things these days with the media.
Yeah, because the Ye stuff seemed like maybe a one-off. Like, he had his own reasons to be doing what he was doing. But now that this comes into light, it's a little weird. It's another high-profile black man.
Yep, exactly. And
wait, I gotta just stop. We got your sweet mother in here. She's saying Jeremy Corbyn was destroyed politically by an anti-Semitic smear campaign.
Huh.
This is all planned ahead.
Wow.
I don't doubt that.
I mean it makes sense. They
The question is how far ahead, like and for what purpose? Obviously, it's going to be something past, like longer term if it's planned ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Ukraine angle. I just came up with that. I think it's, who knows. It could just be them trying to stir up tensions and create division because they love to do that. That's always an angle, but we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, and I have a question, and maybe just clarification. But in the Jewish world of history, isn't and also aligned with conspiracy theory, isn't there a fake Jewish tribe out there somewhere? Like an atheistic Jewish tribe?
I'm not sure.
I think it was up towards the Black Sea.
You think like the Khazarian stuff, or
maybe is that it? There's
it
was up there, and that's around Ukraine, Russia area. The Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. Or maybe I'm thinking of like around Uzbekistan. I don't know. I thought that there was one. I saw a documentary about the migration of like some certain group of people up towards that way, and then that's where you had like a lot of satanic stuff happening. Way back in the day. If I dig it up, I'll bring it. But
yeah, I do think it's funny how a lot of people on Twitter and social media, like the conservative side, was all in on like Kanye being able to say whatever he wants, like, oh, it's fine to have the White Lives Matter shirt, and then as soon as he starts going off on the Jewish stuff, which I think he said some things that like I wouldn't say, or at least he is not always, whatever point he's trying to communicate, he does it in a way that's maybe designed to be more inflammatory and not very specific about who he's talking about. But it was interesting to see the reaction from like, the Ben Shapiro's of the world and whoever else, like, oh, this is he doesn't have the right to say that. And it's like, well, you guys were just backing up the right to, I mean, that is part of free speech, whether you like it or not. It's not
absolutely, yeah.
You don't have to like what he's saying. I get that, but you did kind of look hypocritical there. But I mean, Ben Shapiro's a shill again for Israel, but
yeah, and they need their clicks too. So
yeah,
they're grifters,
big time.
To some extent, yeah.
But there's that linkage between, which gets into my next topic, is what we were talking about with Kyrie, it's interesting. Like he's kind of, I think he donated like a lot of money to buy George Floyd's family, like a house or something. And then he's been a part of a lot of big things recently. And then obviously last year was the whole he couldn't play in the NBA because he didn't take the jab. And something that's been going on that I'm sure you may have seen it, the Amnesty article from The Atlantic, which
yes.
has made its rounds.
Been thinking about that all weekend.
Oh, I think everyone has when everyone saw, and if you read the article, which I almost should pull it up right now, because it was, it just created a firestorm. Yeah, let's declare a pandemic amnesty.
Yeah,
let's focus on the future, fix the problems we still need to solve. Basically, she's like, oh, we should forgive one another for all the things we did. But in the article, it basically does not acknowledge any of the things that they did wrong. It's like, oh, the Johnson and Johnson versus the Pfizer Moderna, we were wrong. Like, oh wow, what a big revelation there.
Well, here's the revelation: that mRNA vaccines have won out.
Exactly.
Won out what?
Yeah.
Forever, future forever, or like just this one small battle with like Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah.
Janssen.
And obviously some people intended to mislead and made wildly irresponsible claims. I mean, like the entire narrative. And
Yeah.
it received probably one of the worst backlashes I've seen
Oh
recently on social
no!
media.
Go back there. Some people intended to mislead and make wildly irresponsible claims. Remember when the public health community had to spend a lot of time and resources urging Americans not to inject themselves with bleach? See, that's so pathetic. That's what they think about us as little bug eaters. You know, we have to spend so much time on you guys to get you to not kill yourself. Like, come on.
Yeah. That was the whole thing. Yeah, that was
Misinformation was and remains a huge problem.
As like the entire narrative was mostly misinformation. The people who got it right for whatever reason may want to gloat. Those who got it wrong for whatever reason. Wow, so insightful. This lady is a professor at Brown University, which I think is Ivy League school.
Yes, it is.
But where's the there's also
look at the war language though. Go back down to where you're at.
Where's it? Oh.
The people who got it right, meaning the people who are using common sense, is what I think. You know, it's just like in the moment, let's evaluate. Those who got it wrong for whatever reason may feel defensive and retrench into a position. War talk. So the side that got it wrong, aka the fucking assholes and the COVIDiots and all that, oh, they're at war. So it's time for them to retrench into a position that doesn't accord with the facts. What is that? So another position of rhetoric, wartime rhetoric. Good job.
I didn't even pick that up. That's a good point. And let's see.
Teacher killer.
There's also another part of this article. It says pediatricians and public health officials will need to work together on community outreach, and politicians will need to consider school mandates. Wow, they will? Like, so what happened to amnesty?
Right. Yeah. Amnesty, like, just like, I won't do it again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So on that note, I wanted to
double talk there.
Yeah, this whole article is double talk because amnesty implies that you did something wrong, but it's not us. It's the people that were talking bleach and pushing J&J. Like, wow, that
brought to you
vanilla.
By good faith, who make good faith arguments.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to talk to her in a class at some point. Well,
God bless you.
But you know, and it sparked a lot of outrage, understandably, because does this strike you as somebody that's apologizing for anything?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's no apology or atonement.
Nothing.
It's just like that hands up, palms up, like shrug your shoulders emoji.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't know.
Oh,
no.
And you know, it's frustrating because I think a lot of people, I don't know if you get this experience, but people that aren't necessarily on our side of the perspective, who have like gone down these, I wouldn't say rabbit holes, but just like thought about this shit for a while, because it's probably the biggest thing that's happened in our lifetime for the most part.
In 9/11,
yeah,
last as long.
I remember it was like
definitely rippled as long, but
no, yeah. COVID felt like a 9/11, like every day. We were just like, it's just a constant. So I think most people who didn't have that sense of awareness or don't really even think about any of this stuff, and it seems like most people either don't care or they don't really understand how an article like this could be so offensive to people who have, thankfully I didn't have my life destroyed in terms of losing my job, but my social life was
For your health.
pretty destroyed for a while. Yeah, being mandated to take something I didn't want to take, or losing my job, or like having to deal with all that. And I thankfully wasn't in Australia or any of those other more authoritarian countries.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to just bring us back to just a little reel of what was going on, because I think a lot of people have forgotten how
Thank you.
fucked up it was.
Yes, I hear what you say about somebody exercising their freedom not to have a vaccine, and they're perfectly healthy. I don't want them sitting next to me in the theatre. I don't want them standing next to me at the theatre bar. I don't want them next to me or anywhere near me or even in the same carriage.
Who is this?
So, yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. Somebody in Britain, obviously.
Yeah.
They can exercise their freedom by staying at home.
If you decide that you don't want a vaccine or a booster, then you can decide not to go to hospital however ill you get. And that way, that is your right.
So you would leave the unjabbed at home to die if they had a heart attack, if they suffered from a stroke?
That's their choice.
Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack, yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who called horse goo, rest in peace, Weezy.
Horse goo. God.
Clear to them that the vaccine
yeah.
the ticket back to pre-pandemic.
Where's she up to?
Is really narrowing. I mean, you were mentioning, Chris, about how all these states are reopening. They're reopening at 100%. And we have a very narrow window to tie reopening policy to vaccination status. Because otherwise, if everything is reopened, then what's the carrot going to be? How are we going to incentivize people to actually get the vaccine? So that's why I think the CDC and the Biden administration needs to come out a lot bolder and say, if you're vaccinated, you can do all these things. Here are all these freedoms that you have. Because otherwise, people are going to go out and enjoy these freedoms anyway.
People who refuse to accept vaccines.
That's fucking
I
horrible.
think the right response for them is not to force them to, but rather to insist that they be isolated.
Giving up your human rights is justifiable. It's justifiable to take away a person's bodily autonomy when you have a global pandemic.
Those who haven't had jabs but could have jabs need to have a badge saying unjabbed.
Really?
Yeah.
Those who do have badges and could have badges.
No life, and that's how it is.
Without proof of the vaccine, you can't go into a pub, club, restaurant, gymnasium, anywhere at all. You can't travel, theatre. You can't even go into work. I mean, personally, I have to say, I don't even think that we should allow people on the streets unless they've had the vaccine.
We've tried the education. We've tried.
What about all the homeless that were exempt?
If it...
Yeah.
So many holes in that argument.
Yeah, this is rough.
Oh yeah.
It takes time now. The time to find people. Great. Let's start. Let's never go with €100. Make it £100, right? And it starts. And I tell you what, it's not 60, but let's make it 40 and above, starting on Monday. Okay. Now, if we come round, knock on the door, and you can show on your phone, or you've got a link.
Nick Ferrari's gonna go to anybody else?
Yeah, not housekeeping, job, no job. You cannot leave.
I'm named after a car.
Yeah.
If you willfully oppose now, you're 40 and above. £100 fine in December, £100 fine in January, £200 in February, £300 in March. By the end of the year, you'll be spending about £1,000, and that might cut through your ignorance.
You've had a little bit more on his rate. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500.
Which I do want to say they did propose that, I believe, in Austria and maybe Germany too, where you're going to get fined. And I think they dropped it just like everything else, but
everything
dropped. Yeah. All just one big trial balloon, honestly. I don't know. We can keep watching. Here's Rod Stewart.
Let's go, Rod. Let's go.
Who will not take it, putting themselves at risk. It's said. How do you feel the same way I do? Does that make you angry?
It makes me angry, especially in America, where they talk about it's my right, it's my freedom. No, it's not. Because you are a killer.
Ooh,
get the vaccine.
Straight.
You're a killer.
Supermarket.
You're a
Don't have
killer.
the vaccine. You don't show it. Can't go to the ball game.
Oh yeah,
Vaccine. Can't go to work. You don't have the vaccine. Can't come here. No shirt. No shoes. No service. That's where I think we should be right now.
Frankly, if you're not vaccinated at the moment and you're eligible and you've got no health reason for not being vaccinated, you're not just irresponsible. I mean, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. I mean, that is, truthfully, you are.
People have got to understand vaccination is going to be, in the end, your route to liberty.
If you're willing to walk among us unvaccinated, you are an enemy.
We have to stop coddling the morons who will not get the shot. We start by calling them what they are. They are all snowflakes and cowards and idiots and losers. And most importantly, they are afraid.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots?
Wow.
In this country?
What's Howard? What's he gonna do, Howard? Were you gonna shoot us? What are you gonna do, Howard?
Speaking of guys who have, joined the cult, this guy went. I mean, he's been on a slide for a while, but during COVID, it was like, wasn't he the big rebel on the airwaves?
Yeah.
He got too rich. I don't know, man.
Totally.
We can keep going a little. I don't know if you want to keep going on this. But...
Why not?
Yeah.
Always remember.
Yeah. Never forget. No, always remember. Yeah.
Yeah. This podcast should be called Always Remember.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a good one.
It's mandatory to get vaccinated. F them, their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
Justin Trudeau. I mean,
he doesn't have that already. That's sad.
When I started to read what he said, this is a couple of weeks ago. He was, or maybe this is September, but he was talking about people who are not vaccinated. He said they don't believe in science. They're often misogynistic, often racist. No, they're not.
That was not
Often anti-Semitic.
Right.
You should throw that in
They
there.
take up space. And with that, we have to make a choice in terms of a leader as a country. Do we tolerate these people? It's like, tolerate them. Now you do sound like Hitler.
If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train beside vaccinated people and put them at risk.
Which I do want to point out, his deputy prime minister, Chrystia Freeland, that lady, her grandpa, I think, was like number four from Hitler in terms of being a Nazi.
Yeah, I heard that. Yes. It
So-
spawned a lot of other children in Ukraine. No doubt.
Where's her donation to the ADL? You know what I mean?
Hey, it's closer
Where's
than
her
Kyrie.
atonement?
Yeah.
Like, what the? Oh yeah, who cares? She supports everything, so we don't
She
care
went
about
through
that.
the anti-Semitic sensitivity training.
Yes. Oh, this guy too. They're the worst.
It's Australia.
Where to protect the
Yeah.
health
Dan
system,
Andrews,
you lock out people who are not vaccinated and can be. If you're making the choice not to get vaccinated, then you're making the wrong choice. You're making the wrong choice. And for safety's sake, and back to that point about how much work our nurses have to do, as this becomes absolutely a pandemic of the unvaccinated, and we open everything up, it's not going to be safe for people who are not vaccinated to be roaming around the place spreading the virus. That's what they'll be doing.
Dank Ihrer Leistung ist das gelungen. Diejenigen, die hier gegen
Ooh,
die Impfung
just don't hold that hand there too long. There.
keinen Beitrag geleistet.
Not good luck.
Sie haben kein Recht, hier zu sein.
Bend the elbow.
Sie haben keinen Beitrag geleistet und ich finde, es ist eine Unverschämtheit,
Play your part.
dass Sie noch die Stirn haben, hier die berechtigte Demonstration derjenigen zu missbrauchen, die gearbeitet haben, die es jetzt wieder tun, die wirklich belastet sind. Ihre Arbeit hat keinen Beitrag geleistet.
Emmanuel Macron said his government's vaccination strategy was to piss off the unvaccinated by continuing to make daily life more difficult.
Why? Who does he hate?
Parisian, he is quoted to have said, "I'm not about pissing off the French people, but as for the non-vaccinated, I really want to piss them off. And we will continue to do this to the end. This is the strategy."
So, why would you give away your strategy?
He's just arrogant. He's
The glorified camp counselors, all these world leaders.
yeah. They're just middle managers for the
I spent all summer developing this game and nobody likes it. Like that
Yeah.
kind of shit. I put
Now-
some time, or like the art teacher that spent all summer doing lesson plans and skipped out on her vacation, and nobody likes her activities. I just genderized all art teachers as being female, but whatever.
Oh, they're they them.
Ghost self.
So with all that we witnessed and experienced, there's also another one. Where is it here? It is a Vice News article about it's kind of, or not, it's an article, it's a video, and it gets into making fun of the dead unvaxxed and anti-vaxxed. It's very strange.
When was this from? When?
This was. It's
was
funny
it
enough. It was only 9 months ago. So
Okay.
that'd be that's like right around the time of the truckers thing kicking off.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Are you familiar with the Herman Cain Award stuff on Reddit?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah. Sick.
Yeah, so it became a whole thing, and it's still up there. So they get into it.
Why was it Herman Cain? So the Herman Cain Award is because Herman Cain was against the vaccine and died of COVID?
Well, I can play it, and it'll kind of get into it if you want.
Okay.
Just roll it.
2 years of serving the citizens of the state of Washington, being asked to leave because I am dirty. State 1034, this is the last time you'll hear me in a state patrol car. And Jay Hensley can kiss my ass.
It says that trooper died of COVID. Apparently, I don't
believe it.
I kind of don't either.
Allow me to introduce you to a niche comedy format that you'll probably wish you never heard of. Slideshows making fun of people who died of COVID. You can find this stuff scattered around on TikTok, on Twitter, and on Instagram. But maybe the best place to find it is the Herman Cain Award subreddit. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a message board that borrows its name from Herman Cain, the Republican politician who died of COVID after going maskless to an indoor Trump rally. Even though Herman Cain was never an outright COVID denier himself, and he died before vaccines were available, this community gives awards in his name to everyday people who've died after making a, quote, public declaration of their anti-mask, anti-vax, or COVID hoax views. In the last 6 months, the subscriber numbers have skyrocketed, up to almost 500,000 people. A lot of the posts are made by people who have a COVID denier family friend or acquaintance on.
I just want to point out the how the denier thing, getting back to the root of that, is usually in relation to the Holocaust denier. And it's used now. Now it's being COVID denier was trending obviously during the height of COVID, and this guy's using it. And now what is it? Election denier.
Yeah. Yeah. Good catch.
So they love using that denier word.
Yeah.
Facebook. And the posts tend to follow a format. First, a couple of screenshots of somebody posting anti-vaccination articles, or maybe a couple of Trump memes. Then some screenshots of them posting about how they've caught COVID, but they're confident they'll beat it. Then come the frantic posts from the family who are asking for prayers. If a person is hospitalized, they're officially nominated. And then the grand morbid finale, a screenshot of a GoFundMe for the funeral. At this point, the person is upgraded, and they're finally given the Herman Cain Award, and their death is immortalized in shame online. The comments are all pretty similar in that you don't really see anybody expressing empathy. What you do see is jokes. People saying, hey, that person got what's coming to them, or making fun of their political beliefs, or just calling them stupid.
Very true.
Some people might say, yo, that's just the internet. What do you expect? But I don't think it's fair to single them out.
Stop the clip. That's just the internet. What?
Yeah.
I wonder how many of our friends and family have visited and partaked in this COVID Herman Cain shit.
Ooh.
What are the odds? Out of what? 800,000? What did they say? 500,000?
500,000. I mean, I have a few candidates for sure. For sure.
I guess I do too. Yeah.
You know, it's
Just wonder.
what is it? Is this is it Schadenfreude? Is that the
Schadenfreude?
Schadenfreude?
Freude?
Where you're basically taking pleasure in somebody else's pain.
You asked me that like I'm a Nazi, man.
We'll donate to the ADL for that one.
Please.
Sorry.
This conversation has been in the mainstream for a while, from cable news to comedy.
Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
One columnist even argued that it's not necessarily wrong to mock anti-vaxxers who die of COVID.
Every one of these deaths is a teachable moment. And unfortunately, we haven't been learning from the lesson we should be hearing from them.
The conversation about COVID has changed, and nobody's really sure what to do about it. We've gone from
what? No one's sure what to do about it?
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, man. Come on. What's the one after that? Yeah.
feeling compassion to something a little more complicated, especially toward people who won't get vaccinated.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us.
Maybe you've noticed it too. Not too long ago, we aired a segment on some anti-vaxxers who got COVID. And a lot of the comments from you, the viewers, said that you don't feel bad for them. Maybe you used to care, but you've heard this same story so much, you just burned out on it. You almost can't care anymore. Kind of like how when there's another mass shooting, a lot of people just shrug their shoulders. We've entered a phase of mass compassion fatigue.
Real rough comparison there.
Yeah, and Vice, I hate this editing style with the side camera.
Mm.
It's really bad. Anyway,
so we got 2 minutes left. Do you think he's going to come to any insight on terms of, hey, what is it about how we've been manipulated by the media to think and have such hatred towards these people? Is this gone too far? Is he gonna? I think
he's gonna join the subreddit.
Oh, that'd be good.
And the joke stuff might feel a little shocking, but this isn't the first time it's happened. In the late 1970s, when nearly 1,000 of Jim Jones' cult followers committed suicide by drinking poison, people were horrified. But they also started making jokes about it. Nowadays, we even use the phrase drinking the Kool-Aid as a tongue-in-cheek way to refer to somebody who isn't smart enough to realize that they're being manipulated. Now, even if you thought those people had it coming because they were foolish enough to be in a cult, you might not have wanted to say that out loud at first. We often don't want to.
Man, it's just, this is one of the bigger cases of projection, honestly, that I've seen in a video.
Yeah, why? Roll it back. Why? Roll it back.
All right.
Like,
well,
Kool-Aid and manipulation.
Yeah, all of it.
They also started making jokes about it. And nowadays, we even use the phrase drinking the Kool-Aid as a tongue-in-cheek way to refer to somebody who isn't smart enough to realize that they're being manipulated. Now, even if you thought those people had it coming because they were foolish enough to be in a cult, you might not have wanted to say that out loud at first.
Wait, hold on.
Don't want to publicly.
If that's your thought, then you might not have any compassion and be a fucking psychopath. Hey? If that's your first thought? Oh, they had it coming because they were stupid enough to join a cult.
Yeah, I've never thought that about, like, I mean, okay, the Heaven's Gate people, those are like the closest where I was like, man, these people are, that's not like I'm like, man, like I'm going to just be like, yeah, they deserved it. Like, I don't know. That's usually not my gut reaction.
It's not even like my 10th reaction.
No.
With you.
And also, and if you knew about Jonestown, you'd realize, like, yeah, those people weren't necessarily making that choice willingly. per se. I think they were kind of forced to in a lot of ways, if you're going off the official narrative anyway. But
yeah, like by gunpoint, right?
He pretty much.
Yeah.
So
you had it coming though. Man.
Yeah.
Where's your compassion?
Yeah, because they were trying to they were idealistic, fucking idiots being idealistic,
Ideologues.
Yeah.
Shit. Fucking
We admit that we enjoy watching other people suffer. But in the same way that the internet is great for finding out that you're not the only one who likes cat videos, it's also really good at
Is that
helping you
what it's
find
great
out that you're not the only one who doesn't care anymore if anti-vaxxers die, or that maybe there's other people who are also angry that they're putting the rest of us in danger. I mean, there is a more charitable way to think about these dead anti-vaxxers. Just like in Jonestown, these are victims of misinformation. Those COVID denial memes infected them first, and that made them susceptible to the virus. We could feel sorry for them. But the justice-based schadenfreude of the Herman Cain Awards, that's an emotional response. It isn't exactly generous, but that's not the point. Maybe for some people, making those cruel jokes is how they process the feelings of being completely powerless during a pandemic.
Can you roll it back?
In history,
the justice-based schadenfreude. I want to know. I missed the angle he was going at.
Let's go here.
Or if you just slipped it in as though it's like, this is what this is. It's justice-based.
Yeah, it's all justice. Okay.
Yeah, it's justice. Okay.
are victims of misinformation. Those COVID denial memes infected them first, and that made them susceptible to the virus. We could feel sorry for them. But the justice-based schadenfreude of the Herman Cain Awards, that's an emotional response. It isn't exactly generous, but that's not the point. Maybe for some people, making those cruel jokes is how they process the feelings of being completely powerless during a pandemic.
Oh.
I don't know about you, but this guy sounds like he is one of the moderators of this subreddit.
Creator. He's justice-based schadenfreude of the Herman Cain Awards.
What
so Herman Cain Awards? They're not just schadenfreude. It's justice-based.
What a way to frame this, like, sick subreddit.
Like the dead are on trial by a bunch of fucking Redditors. Wow. Or at least this guy.
Yeah.
In his mind. Justice-based. Let's. I don't want to stick on it, but it's fucked up. Very fucked up.
Let's do it one more time.
Of misinformation. Those COVID denial memes infected them first.
Just how
and that
nonchalant
made them susceptible to the virus. We could feel sorry for them. But the justice-based schadenfreude of the Herman Cain Awards, that's an emotional response. It isn't exactly generous, but that's not the point. Maybe for some people,
what is the point?
making those cruel jokes is how they process the feelings of being completely powerless during a pandemic. When history teachers in the future talk about the early 2020s, they're going to have a lot on their hands. They'll have to talk about Trump, vaccines, the variant waves, ivermectin, and the fact that a lot of us were laughing at dead people.
A lot of us were laughing. You're very serious, and that's wrong. No, it's now mainstream. This is Vice.
Yeah.
So, amnesty. I mean, this I was just pulled this up. This is still going on. It's today. They're still giving it out.
Oh my god.
They're raising money to buy vaccines for countries that cannot afford them. Go to our swag store.
Swag store. Go to the swag store. Let's see what swag they got.
Ooh, boy. Yeah, you want to go to the
man.
God. Shirts for shots.
Ball
Swag
caps?
razor.
Oh wow.
What's this? Okay. I don't quite understand that.
Oh no, it's right up their alley.
Like does it look like, oh, he's got the MAGA hat on and he's dead. Okay. That's the award. Yeah, that's the award. It's like your boomer dad. He's got, for anyone listening, he's got glasses on.
He got justice. This little guy, this little lion.
He's in heaven. The lion's in heaven, and he's got, and he's dead.
He's dead. The lungs.
Unmasked, unvaccinated, unbreathing underground. That's a mug. Ooh.
And the American flag.
Oh yeah.
Patriotic to be a denier.
Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Um,
Hoodies. I want to see the hoodies.
They got
angle wings.
Herman Cain Award. Yeah, it's just
Oh,
with a dead guy, like a death.
Yeah, with lungs.
Prayer.
How much is that? $40.
Too much. They give money to the Bill Gates.
Oh, look at the angle wings. Is that meant to be angle? Obviously, it is, right?
Yeah. Okay.
What's the angle on this one? Is that a massive fuck up, or is that? Am I
No,
just
it's
so
I don't.
stupid that I don't get the joke.
Maybe it's probably an inside joke to the people in the subreddits, which is like,
you got it.
Come on, guys, you know that you don't get out of your house enough to.
Well,
Man,
that makes no sense.
Man, okay, well, be on the lookout for let that sink in.
Yeah,
be on the lookout for these so that I can really get into a nice, rational conversation with somebody.
Okay.
IPA. Wow. But so we're talking amnesty. This is from the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
This is from the recent debate. Hochul, who mandated it for the healthcare workers, does she come to her senses at all?
I would do it all over again what I did last year, that mandate for healthcare workers.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad.
You get sued all over again, too.
Yeah, and you lost.
Wow, the quadruple down burger. This girl. Ugh.
What's up?
Quadrupling down on this thing.
Oh, yeah. She's got no other. She's got no other way to go. She's talked to God.
Vicious person.
I bet she's been on that Herman Cain Award subreddit.
Oh yeah.
So I just listened to this. I don't know if you're familiar with New World Next Week with James Corbett, Evan Pilato. They do a pretty good summary of things, and
looks scary already though.
They're good. They're good. Yeah, he has it's crazy shot of here, but they're responding to the article that we've been talking about, and I thought he did a fine job in responding to this piece and summing up, I think, our general sentiment after reliving all that stuff. I think this response is very appropriate.
Yeah.
And tell you, I freaking told you so. James, how many times have I said here on New World Next Week, they'll try and act like, what? Are you still going on about COVID? Get over it, man. They got us. You murderous hypocrites. Outrage ensues after The Atlantic suggests amnesty for pandemic authoritarians. The Atlantic magazine has come under fire for suggesting that all the terrible pandemic-era decisions should be water under the bridge. Quote, we need to forgive one another for what we did and said for when we were in the dark about COVID. Writes Brown professor Emily Oster, O-S-T-E-R, a huge lockdown proponent who now pleads for mercy from the once shunned.
She got that crazy COVID eye.
Yeah, no kidding. Choices in the face of deep uncertainty and then try to work together to build back and move forward. Nice try, Ems. Hey, sorry you lost your job because of that vax that doesn't work and your grandma died alone and you couldn't have a funeral and your family business was destroyed and your kids have these weird heart problems now, but let's just all admit we were wrong and call it a truce. Hey, well, it's too bad we shut down the entire economy and took on tyrannical powers that have never been used before and we're having trouble getting rid of. Looking back, I guess you should have been able to go to church in the park while we let people riot in the streets. But it was a confusing time for everybody. Hey, sorry we scared the hell out of you and lied for years and persecuted and censored anyone who disagreed. But there was an election going on and we really wanted to beat Orange Man bad. So it was important to radically politicize the science, even if it destroyed your children's lives. Okay, yeah, we said unvaccinated people should die and not get health care while never questioning Big Pharma but we're compassionate. Which is why even though we shut the entire economy down, we also bankrupted the nation as a bonus and caused inflation. You're welcome. Let's be friends. One can't help but notice the timing coincides with the swiftly approaching selections, perhaps the mainstream media, but I would say maybe the whole mainstream of society, not just corporate prostitute media, is suddenly realizing they may have to face some payback for their COVID zealotry. James, most of the people who push this, sadly, and you've heard me say this on the morning show, they are pretty much kind of dead suddenly to me. How are you coping with all this?
Well, look, let's put it this way. I am not your mother or any of the mothers of the people out there. So what people choose personally, where their line is as to what apologies they will or will not accept and what sort of personal relations they have, that's up to them, and good for them, whatever they choose. I certainly understand the people like Rollo Tomasi and others who talk about this is where I spent the last 7 months with my mother before she died alone on December 3rd, 2020. You murderous hypocrites have nothing but my undying contempt. Rot in hell. I understand where that very justified outrage comes from, and so I'm not here in judgment of anybody and their personal lines. But the underlying point of this really is the societal issue of moving forward from here. What does this mean for the future? Apologies, whatever, just words, just rhetoric, and whatever happens in your personal life with your personal relations is up to you. But going forward, if there is no actual signs of real contrition and acknowledgement that something went drastically wrong and that it can never happen again, and we have to examine, how did that go wrong? Why did that go wrong? We will not let that happen again. Unless that happens, then apologies are just hot words and blather. We don't. Who cares about the rhetoric? I care about what actually happens as a result of this, and people facing real consequences for essentially saying, I hope you die because you aren't going to do this thing. Oh, oops, I was wrong. I guess that thing wasn't necessary. Well, hey, bygones be bygones, guys, right? No, wrong. People need to face consequences for what they've done professionally and in terms, again, of the societal conversation moving forward. If we do not get actual acknowledgement of what went wrong and how it went wrong and why, and people actually examining how they themselves were misled, then nothing will change and it'll happen again in the future.
So yeah, no amnesty. no justice, no amnesty.
Yeah. Hot words and blather.
Yeah.
No apologies.
And that's generally how I feel, which I didn't realize at the time, but never again, never forget. We're wrapping back around to, another debatably much worse thing that happened in the past when we're talking about the Holocaust. Obviously, it was, but that general sentiment of, in order for us to actually move on, we need accountability and we need people to actually acknowledge what went wrong, and some structural changes need to happen, because the way that I feel right now about all this, and I still, I reflect on a year ago when, I was being shut out of music venues and restaurants for not making that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And people in my life, for the most part, didn't seem to care. And now that it's quote unquote back to normal, most people still don't seem to care. Like it was like nothing happened. We haven't had the Hollywood movies. We haven't had all of those things drilled into our head about never again, because those people who have that power will not say that. They're not going to use that power to drill it into people's heads never again, because
they were doing it.
They were doing it, and they might do it again. Very well could.
Yeah.
So I'm
on a very micro level, like very circle your own personal sphere level there. I think there needs to be some sort of acknowledgement, and it doesn't need to come from those who are owed the apology or whatever atonement or hot words and blather, but that's where it needs to come from. I mean, it would be all contrived if it was a big ordeal. I think just on a personal level, these, like what James is saying, it's like it's different for everybody what that looks like. But that's where it needs to come from. But sure, man. I mean, it's been on my mind because it's the reason it's been on my mind is like it'll never happen.
No, I know.
Thinking all weekend, it'll never happen.
Nope.
There's nothing, no hopes up. I mean, that it's more likely that some incendiary article comes out of the Atlantic than, obviously people reflecting back on their own and apologizing. I mean, we got to get out there and save democracy, by the way, in 2 days. So we don't have time for apologies or even retrospectives.
No, not at all. And it's one of those things that somebody I read in a comment section on a video I was watching, where they're like, yeah, because the U.S. is such a litigious society that sues people are also not motivated to admit any fault because then they could be held accountable.
Right.
So any kind of apology and she danced around that as much as she could without saying any sort of actual apology or I was
Remorse.
wrong.
Yeah.
Because and that's the thing, everyone that pushed all these policies, I've said it before, but they are compromised, similar to the whole Epstein ring, where Jeffrey Epstein had all these people go to the island and he filmed them and used it as blackmail so that potentially they would do whatever the intelligence agencies would want. I mean, that's the big old overarching theme of that whole thing, was using people's misdeeds against them to get what they want in terms of agendas. And all these people, all these politicians, all these local health officials, media personalities who push this are now compromised. So they have no motivation to, admit fault. So as a result of that, there won't be from that mainstream media source. And unfortunately, all of the people in our lives who have been kind of just subverted in their minds by narratives and going along to get along, just swimming with the school of fish. If they don't get the messaging from those centralized sources, they're not going to have that light bulb moment. They're not going to have any motivation to, like, oh, I have to atone because what did I do wrong?
Well, the mRNA has won out, so they'll never get that message to their DNA.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to come from within in that way. It's, but like, yeah, it is what you're saying about it's just, you're thinking about how it's just not going to happen. It's
not.
I've come to realize that too, even with people in my life who are somewhat, they're not, I use the term NPC, non-player character. I wouldn't say they're on that level, but even people who are like kind of straddlers, like I haven't gotten that any type of acknowledgement that like, oh man, yeah, it was pretty messed up what happened, or if they've said it, it's not, there's no reflection on it. Like they don't even want to think about it. And maybe it's that whole thing where because maybe they took it and they don't want to reflect on, what that could have done to them or could still do. I don't know. Or what it is, but it's hard because like you're saying, we're dealing with the swirl of Ye and Kyrie and saving democracy and go for Ukraine and whatever the hell comes next. Stand with Taiwan if that happens. It's just it's not. I haven't forgotten, and I will always have that in my mind. And it's still weird because now I'm going to these places where I was not allowed to go. I went out to the dance party at a club that I was banned from last year. And I had a good time, but it's never going to be quite, it's never that innocence of like, gee, this might be taken away from me. Now you have that in the back of your head. Always. And the people that didn't have it taken away from them, they know I've been vocal enough about it to where you should know that like how this, and it's just like, just numbness, just no acknowledgement. And like you said, the thing that would matter the most is if you get some type of acknowledgement from somebody who maybe gave you shit or was like, well, yeah, you got to do it. You deserve it, whatever.
Yeah, and
Nothing.
no apology needed. Just acknowledgement would be amazing.
Yeah. I haven't gotten that really. And like you said, I don't expect to at this point. So, you know, I it's hard because I think on a micro level, what you're saying, if somebody could do that, that would be a huge thing. On a macro level, you know, we have the elections. Republicans are probably going to take over Congress. They're probably going to have some hearings. I'm sure Fauci's going to get grilled. I doubt no one's going to be held legally accountable. If that happened, I would be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, what good is Fauci, something, you know, justice-based Schadenfreude going to be good for if the people around me still think that he's a hero?
Mm.
You know?
Right.
Like, what good's it going to do? It's like those crazy German Nazis. Not even the Nazis, just the party lovers, you know?
Yeah.
The people that went along. Still probably to this day would think that some of their Führers were just top-notch people.
Yeah, I've realized that Fauci is the left-wing version of Trump, where, you know, so people say, "Oh, Trump can do no wrong." Like Fauci's that way for people on the left at this point.
Yeah. Same with Obama.
Yeah, Obama's right there.
They got more on that side, I think, than the other side.
More characters, you're saying?
Yeah, more can do no wrong characters. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's I think if there were to be trials or hearings, at least, you know, the media is going to go into a you know, I mean, it's a shame for the narrative pushers that Fauci's not Jewish, right? I mean, then they could wrap in these whole anti-Semitism against Fauci. I'm sure we would have already heard that by now.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I think they'll wrap it into just the same tropes that we've heard before, that this is an attack on science. It's it's tearing apart our democracy. It's January 6th. It's
I mean, you already have that narrative of Paul Pelosi, like an 82-year-old frail man, you know, he attacked an old man, you know, and by the time Fauci, if ever, is on trial, he'll be an old man. So
right.
They'll have that knee-jerk reflex of defending the old man. And then at the same time saying how Trump's too old to be president in 2024. Watch it.
Yeah, that's definitely another episode we'll have to do. I mean, there's coming in the pipeline, but this topic's been on my mind. I mean, it's still on my mind from since it started, really.
Yeah.
And there's you don't have that sense of closure. And it's again similar to 9/11, where we were supposed to go into Afghanistan and provide some sense of closure, and then nothing ever happened, and it lasted for 20 years, and people just forgot about it. And then, let's just leave, and it was a shit show. And again, no one really remembers that either from last year. But for people who remember, it's frustrating to be around people who have no memory, you know?
Yeah. And then the legal weed really doesn't help either.
Oh man, it's probably part of it, and the Soma way. I don't know. It's you know, I'm still processing how to go forward. I think we're gonna try to figure it out as we go on our own terms, like they were saying here. I don't really know if there's any easy answers, but I do know that if, at the very least, if somebody isn't held accountable on a national level or whatever court system you want to use,
Yeah.
We are very liable to have this happen again. And on a personal level, if somebody doesn't acknowledge maybe they wronged you or you were done wrong at least, or acknowledging your pain, then they're also liable to have it happen again. And it's hard to live with that sometimes in terms of friends and family, where you want to forgive, but there's not a sense of acknowledgement that is missing. So it's not easy.
Yeah, my heart's with that, but I will say that if it happens again, maybe it's best that we just don't get any apologies, and at least we'll know.
Yeah,
because getting an apology or any sort of discussion on it and have it happen again, just to have those same people fall back into the same line of thinking, it's pretty, in my mind, could be pretty devastating.
It's worse to you mean to think that they've
it would be worse. It's just worse that they get the apology and then have the same thing happen again.
That's another sense of trust broken. I've kind of been living in the in between of I'm still friends with a lot of people who I felt like were not there for me, but and quietly I've made peace with that. But
that's good.
It's always in the back of your head, that when hard times come, you can't really count on them necessarily to be there if it's something this divisive. So,
but that's so good. That's good knowledge to have.
Yeah,
it's good knowledge to have.
It is.
I
mean, I'm thankful in some strange way for having gone through this, because it tests your character, and then it shows you what's meaningful and who's actually going to be there or not. And
biblical.
Yeah,
something the wheat from the chaff. That's what it is.
Well,
speaking of wheat, let me. I don't want us to go out on heavy note. We'll be thinking this, so let's get a little prelude to not only this Tuesday, but also 2028, as to my estimation on our last podcast of the Big Wretch run for prez.
Ooh.
Let's see.
Oh, you need me to? You got the screen? You need to?
I got it. You see mine?
I'll go back. Okay. Yeah.
You see?
Yep.
All right. Cool. So you remember the Buffs, right? Do you?
Yeah. The guy that was selling those.
Yep. G-Mac Cash.
Collective resilience.
Oh no. Do I have this muted?
Oh, I heard it.
Oh, you heard it? I can't hear it.
Courage and resolve to protect our communities. When it's safe to do
It's
so,
echoing.
the many cookout invitations that were sent my way. But until then, stay home, stay smart, and stay safe. And now I'm excited to present G-Mac Cash.
Ooh. G-Mac Cash, and he just came out, which this went viral due to an Eminem drop. He got a nice little G-Mac video for you. Where is his screen? All right. Let's do this one. And here we go, buddy. I want you to be sad over there.
And now I'm excited to present G-Mac Cash.
Hey, put money in the schools. Maybe being governor look cool. Who signed for the clean slate? Gretch did. Michigan become a clean state. Gretch did. Funding for the kids. Gretch did. Who got the roads getting fixed? Gretch
Oh yeah.
a lot of people jobs. Gretch did. 2020 help us stay alive. Gretch did. Big Gretch back wrapping up her first term. If you don't know what she did, then you finna learn. The highest budget for the school so the kids can learn. And help people get jobs so they can live and earn. Cut taxes for the small business owners too. Big Gretch in the building, what you wanna do? Now nearly 30,000 in auto jobs. Gretch will stay doing it for Michigan all the time. She got the workers on her fixing on the pothole. Had her throw on the bus and I still got those. And she reduced Michigan debt by a couple billion. Gretch looking out for the people and the children. Put money in the schools. Gretch did. Made being governor look cool. Gretch did. Who signed for the clean slate? Gretch did. Michigan become a clean state. Gretch did. Who got the funding for the kids? Gretch did. Who got the roads getting fixed? Gretch did. Who got a lot of people jobs? Gretch did. 2020 help us stay alive. Gretch did.
Oh yeah, that's what's gonna do it.
Yeah. And that's why I don't think it's ever gonna be apologized for.
Let's create new histories around what actually happened or what didn't happen, but you wanted it to be.
Right. And that, man, she gonna win that.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that Eminem's putting that out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's wading into that?
Yeah, he shared that video out on Twitter, and that's why everybody knows about it right now. And then I think she rolled into one of her rallies with that song as a backdrop. So it's all coordinated. They've got such a machine going there.
You think, you think Michigan would be, based on the polls, you think it would be tighter, but I guess, I don't know.
You just think like Michigan, based on all of the water, all the fresh water, would be a little more looked at than Arizona. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Carrie Lakes, she knows how to play the media. She was part of the media, so
yeah, it doesn't help.
She's more interesting than Tudor Dixon, I guess.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. A little more bold. But then like she's also running against somebody who refuses to debate or
she's terrible.
Go on. Just completely afraid of everything.
Yeah.
But all right, my friend Colin. I'll see you Tuesday though. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited to grift on the big old grifts. It's grifting season.
Yeah. Good. See you then, everybody.
Yeah.